This week on the Gun Room, we're getting to grips with an awesome piece of kit from Zeiss. It's the Victory V8 1:8x30 scope, and it's our choice for shooting pretty much everything in Africa. Now, you might think, why do you want to put a low power variable optic on a hunting rifle? For me, it's a no-brainer. It's the optic that I'm most used to running at home. I've got a 1:8 night force on my go-to AR, and that gets used for pretty much everything around the property. Therefore, jumping into a hunting rifle and then putting the same scope on it really made a whole lot of sense, especially when you consider the specs on this thing. For example, 8 power on the top end gives me the option of shooting plains game out to around about 350-400 yards. And I'm more than happy to do that because of the quality of the glass involved in its construction. One of the reasons I brought a low power variable optic to Africa is because there's the opportunity out here to hunt dangerous game. That typically happens very fast, up close, and with something that wants to turn me into a bloody puddle. Instead of, say, putting a red dot on here or shooting iron sights, I elected to put a 1 power variable on here, or LPVO, so that I can dial that all the way down, have a wide field of view, and when you do that, when you look through this thing, it is super flat. It's almost like not having a scope there at all. But you do have a daylight visible red dot that is visible during the hottest part of the day in Africa, so I guess that qualifies as daylight visible. I can look through it, the image looks super flat, and then imposed on it is a red dot. And that red dot, I don't know what the battery life is on this thing. However, I turned it on before I left about 3 weeks ago, and it's now just started blinking to tell me it's time to change the battery. Obviously, it's not the same battery life as, say, an Aimpoint T1, but we don't expect that either. Having that feature, though, to let you know that the battery is about to die, that is a big plus. The other thing I like about this scope is the quality of the glass involved in it. Zeiss is one of the biggest optic companies in the world, and when you get that size, vertical integration starts to be a big thing. Zeiss owns another company in the optics field that you may not have ever heard of, but it's called Schott Glass, Schott AG in Germany. Schott AG produces some of the best optical glass on the planet, bar none. A lot of other manufacturers use Schott AG glass, and I can think of like half a dozen off the top of my head. On the higher end of the scopes range, that's what they're using. Zeiss owns Schott AG, so guess who gets dibs when it comes to the pick of the litter when it comes to their products? Yep, it's these dudes. Zeiss coatings also are absolutely world class. This thing has got about a 92% light transmission, so although the objective lens is only 30mm in diameter, it sucks in an awful lot of light and transmits it through to my eyeball, which is really important when you're hunting at both ends of the day. Now, externally, it looks pretty damn simple, and all the complexity is really on the inside. The reticle is in the second focal plane. It's not going to win any 3-gun competitions because of that, because it's a simple reticle. It's a strong 3-post design with a fine center wire with an illuminated dot, which is super fine. It's one of those scopes where it's pretty uncluttered. You're not going to see a Horace Christmas tree in there, and actually, for the type of hunting that I'm doing right now, that is one of its strengths. I'm only going to be shooting out to 350-400 yards, and for that, all I'm doing is putting a 250-yard zero on it, and then out to 300, I'm pretty much shooting dead on. 350-400, I'm going to hold a little bit high, but I'm still going to be inside the animal. The reason you can get a 30mm objective lens in a scope this size is that Zeiss went with a bigger main tube. Downside of that is you're going to need a 36mm set of rings. Fortunately, they've got you covered, and I have to say that the rings that come with the scope are pretty impressive. They're very, very robust, really strong, made out of 7075 T6 aluminum, and they have an integrated bubble level in the scope itself. So you can see when you're canting and you're going to throw that shot. Anyway, we can talk about specifications and we can look at the pretty pictures all day. However, the proof of the pudding is obviously going to be on the range. So let's go take this, let's put some rounds through it, let's take it hunting, and we'll also get some opinions from guys who maybe have different scopes as well.
Stop again. Hold on.